UN Habitat in this global network is as a catalyst to bring all the partners who are involved in the work of safer cities, safety and security of cities, to be able to share their experiences, but to partner, to learn from each other and be able to make a difference together on the ground in improving the safety and security of cities, and at the same time strengthening the capacities of the communities, the local authorities, and obviously being able to influence policies at national level and at regional and global level. Our vision is based in terms of safety and security, but in conceptualizing safety and security, we are looking at security of tenure, because without security of tenure, there is no safety. We are looking at crime and violence, because there is no safety and security if there is crime and violence. We are also looking at post-disaster, whether it's human-made or natural disaster, where people are affected and there is no safety and security. So we are looking at it as part of the overall governance and management of cities, so that they are able to look into these specific issues in terms of the safety of the communities, of the people living in the cities.
We're looking at a period up to 2016 where Habitat could be able to define or help partners come up with a clear governance structure and probably the relationship with the Global Association of Local Authorities, such as UCLG and the World Metropolis. In this one-year phase, we have flagged the Urban Gateway, which was presented at the onset of this workshop, as the main virtual platform which Habitat is committed to getting going, to enhance these discussions that we have. In that sense, there is a financial commitment to that.
There are a double role. On the one hand, national governments as well as local authorities, cities, are the beneficiaries of the work of the global network. All the campaigns, all the activities, all the tools, all the processes supported, developed by the global network for safer cities will have a direct impact in national governments and also in cities, local authorities. This is one part of their responsibility. The other part of their role, responsibility, is to contribute to the global network by defining in a better way the demand. And how are we going to achieve that? We know that there are champion cities doing well with prevention, with urban sustainable development public policies. Now, what we want from those cities is to help us to identify the key issues to be addressed by the global network, and also, in the other end, to represent, to help us to communicate in a better way the message resulting of the advocacy process of the global network for safer cities.
I think the role that the national government and cities should be playing in the global safer cities network critically is the advocacy. One is to advocate the issues of policy development around safer cities program in terms of UN Habitat's safer cities agenda. That will allow the communities to have a safer environment in terms of urban safety and security and community safety programs. And once that has been achieved, and I think it's in particular in the developing countries like in Africa, I think that will make a difference in our communities to ensure that we have a safer environment.
To achieve this initiative globally, we need to focus on different regions, understanding that every region in the world, Latin America and the Caribbean, Africa, the Arab states, Asia and the Pacific, they have different ways to understand safety, to understand prevention. And to have this global impact, we need to adapt every time we arrive to a region, to a country, to a city.
One thing that actually has to be there is the commitment from the network partners. If they are committed actually to the whole process and understanding the Safer Cities agenda in terms of the whole program itself, that can be achieved. As from, well, making an example from ourselves as the Tebet municipality, we've had a collaboration with UN Habitat for the last 10 years, and we've seen results, and we will achieve our objectives in terms of urban safety and security.
The added value of the network should be to create the space, the global awareness, to facilitate and to contribute to also what is now the work and the task and the objectives, the contribution of every institution. But at the end of the day, the most important added value for all of us is to increase our impact, to get more cities integrating urban crime prevention, urban violence prevention public policies in their activity, in their daily basis work to improve the quality of life of citizens.
Rapid urban appraisal, and that's basically what the tool is. It started as, and we typically refer to it as a women's safety audit, so it's a women-led initiative to evaluate public spaces, so both social use of space and the built environment, to assess the factors that make the users of the space feel insecure or less safe, and also identify the good areas, so the positive aspects of the public space that make them feel safer. In order to do this, a checklist is typically used, so to prompt people to think of different factors, so factors such as lighting, maintenance, for example, if there's any kind of visual impairment, so if there are bushes or something's blocking the lights, if there are tall fences, so anything that could increase insecurity amongst the users of the space. At the end of a walk, so the walk is usually a small group of about 4 to 6 people, so that everyone has an opportunity to participate, and it is documented along the way by both photography and detailed notes. So for example, if you want to say this street light is not working, we need to know where.
I think what is important is if you are serious about crime and safety, or rather safety for that matter, you need to make sure that's a budgetary item, that there's a budget to it, and it's in the key performance areas of every individual in the city, so that the planner knows if I allow a monofunctional building, a library is a library, yes, but if I put a fence around it and it's not used after 4 o'clock in the evening, that's a problem, because for most of the day it could become a very vulnerable building. It could become an area where crime can happen. So I think the planner needs to know, so does the social worker, so does anybody needs to know about it in the city.
You have pointed out in the different presentations that you make today some of the value added that you see in this network, and I want to confirm it from our perspective as states. I think it's of extreme importance, the work that you can do to link the global dimensions, the national dimension, the local dimension, and even the area approach dimension, because it's very, very important to deal with all these levels and to bring together all the knowledge, all the synergies that there are on all the world, and to incide in the policies of states in streamlining this culture of safer cities.
I think we can evaluate the success of this network through evidence of best practices in cities, through surveys of different stakeholders, participants at the local level, through quantitative studies on the reduction or evidence of reduction of violent crime and other crimes that occur in cities. Those are multiple ways that we can look at evaluating the effectiveness of this program. But what is essential is that you need to have multiple data points from multiple stakeholders, both at the 30,000-foot level and at ground zero.
if you evaluate the impact not only in terms of crime increase or decrease, but in terms of quality of life. This is very important. For example, if you have make a process of safety and security in a city, and crime diminish a little bit, but the relation between police and young people has changed and has improved. The trust of the inhabitants on police or the trust of the activity on the state are better. This is an important change. And people feel more confident in their capacity to face crime or to face any problem they have in the community. This is also important.
The exit strategy for the global network is really important. And that's something that we have to really focus in on. To establish an exit strategy for the global network requires us to establish clear outcomes from the beginning, and as I said earlier, benchmarking those outcomes. So what we want this to look like is really got to be driven by our conversations over the next 2 or 3 days and make sure that ultimately the end user benefits from whatever we do. It's not about writing a series of papers or reports, but rather having impact at the ground level in cities across the world.
It will be extremely important for us to be very good in the advocacy process. We will need to be very creative enough to apply new modalities to campaign, to mainstream, to actually develop advocacy. Advocacy for what? Advocacy for urban crime prevention policies, urban violence prevention policies, mainstream it into urban development policies.